deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I mean, it's just sad, but it's facts. And when that school got closed down by the Justice Department back in 2010, they made this statement straight to Governor Scott. Governor, this school is doing no more than releasing young offenders who will be a danger to this society and will most likely reoffend again and again. And it's a facts. I mean, the records show it, and they're absolutely correct. But
okay, Jack,
I will only say, do what, sir?
Yeah, let's introduce Bill Price to the audience. So, Bill,
okay.
Are you there? Bill with the bird in the background. I can hear you. What are you gonna? Bill lives on a farm.
Well,
You live on a farm there, Bill?
No, I shut the door so you can't hear the bird.
Okay. So, Bill, tell us, who is Bill Price?
Yes, I am Bill Price. I am the Vice President of the official White House Boys. I will start by telling you how I got there. Not everyone had the good home life, the good sweet life, mother, father, and then somebody to. I had 4 stepfathers before I was 13. So my family life was pretty much bad. And every one of the stepfathers that I had were abusive. So, ran away from home. And I stayed away, as best I could, just to stay out of the reach of these abusers. Well, I got caught. They carried me back home, and with the stepfather that I had at the time said, "We don't want him here. He's nothing but trouble to us." And my mother was standing right there. So, pretty much they decided they were going to send me to Marietta.
And how old were you?
Which they did. I was 13 years old.
Okay.
So anyway, I got to Marietta. When I first got on that campus, it looked like a college campus. It was nice, clean, well taken care of. I mean, it looked like a college campus. It looked great. And I said, well, this is going to be nice. I can stay here. But 3 days after I was there, I was told that I was disrespectful to a cottage father, and they carried me down to that White House, and they beat me. So now here I just left the abuse at home, and as soon as I get there 3 days later, they carry me into this White House, and they had a strap that was about 30 inches long, about 3.5 inches wide. It was 2 pieces of leather, heavy leather, with a piece of metal, a piece of tin sewn in between it to give it some rigidity, and that's what they beat you with. And when they did, it was a full swing, and they would bring blood when they beat you. And they didn't bring blood with the 25 licks they gave me, but I was black and blue. So my first response to something like that is to run away.
I'm in the bathroom.
At the time, there were no fences. So the first thing I did, and the first chance I got, I ran away. And I was gone for about a week.
Well, 13 years old, where'd you go?
I went to a little town called Chipley. That's up in the Panhandle. It was, it's about 25 miles away from, I got that far because I got a ride with a lady, an older woman, and I got all the way to Chipley, and then when I got up there, she pulled in a service station, said she had to get some gas, and she went inside and turned me in.
No.
Well, little did I know at the time that these people that lived in that area had bounties. They had bounties on us. If we ran away from there, they would get paid in some kind of meat, like a hog, or they would get cash, or they would get produce, all kinds of stuff that they would get if they turned you in. So they turned me in, and the sheriff came down, picked me up, and they waited for the people from Marietta. They came and picked me up, and they carried me back. And as soon as they carried me back, they carried me into the White House. And everybody will tell you that if you ran away, they have a standard number of licks that they give you for running away, and that's 100. You will automatically get 100 if you run away. So a week before that, now I had just got 25. So when they carried me in and they gave me this 100, they cut me. I actually had a stitch put in my butt, but a lot of times you've got to take and pick the cloth from your underwear out of the cuts that they make. And, the man that got up there, like he was telling you, Troy Tidwell, was sitting there saying that he only gave these small licks and he wouldn't give no more than 10. Why would you need a 4-pound paddle to do that? But they beat you with this strap, and the other thing that they would do is if they know, after you get about 30, that your butt starts to get numb.
That's correct.
So then they would start going up your back and down your legs. These people were brutal. They were totally brutal.
Now, you were 13 years old. What year was that?
This was in 1961.
Okay, 1961, okay.
Right. I was there from 1961, 62, and 63, for 2.5 years. They sent me up there for 11 months. After the 11 months was up, they could not send me home because after my parents had me sent up there, they moved to California. They moved out there where you are.
I'm in Nevada, actually, yeah. But
so I had no one to be released to. So they actually put on the books that they had sent me home, and then they reinstated me and put me in there for indeterminate instead of a regular time. But never in court. Never went to court for any reason to send me there or anything like that. They just took it on themselves to do that. And when they got low on labor, now you've got to know what, if you have 750 to 800 boys ranging in ages from say 10 to 17, concentrated in one area, you know what that's going to attract. It's going to attract pedophiles. And most of them, moved to the area, and a lot of them worked at the school. And like I said, at that time, it was the Florida School for Boys, and then the Florida Industrial School for Boys, where they would send kids, for there were kids in there for truancy, running away from home, smoking cigarettes, talking back to their parents, and they would send them up there. There was no hardened criminals. Every once in a while, somebody would come in there for joyriding or something like that. But most of the kids were not there for anything, and it was designed to help these kids by giving them a trade and stuff like that, because they had different things. They had a carpentry shop, they had a mechanic shop, they had a printing shop, they had a brick plant, and then on the black side, of course, they had the farms with the pigs and some lumber and a lot of stuff over there. But we weren't allowed to talk because at the time we were segregated. And if we got caught talking to a black boy, they would beat us, and they'd also beat him.
Bill, let me ask you this.
Never associate with them.
Now, you said that you ran away from home, the cops pick you up, they take you back to your mother's house, the mother's husband says, we don't want him here. Now, you're saying that they just brought you to this school for boys without a judge ordering you go there?
Absolutely.
There were several people that were there. They had, let me tell you what else they did. They had an orphanage in Jacksonville. And when the kid got too old to be at the orphanage,
oh my God,
the natural progression is they would send him to Marietta and make room at the orphanage for younger boys.
And they had to endure.
He went to.
Yeah, Billy, the bad thing about it, Ed, is this. Here comes an orphan who has no parents, and he had to go under the same guidelines that the other children were there for minor offenses, including myself. I also got sent there from running away from home 3 times. I never had a lawyer. The judge that sentenced me was Mattie Farmer. I remember her very well. And my mother attended the meeting that we had in Mattie Farmer's office, and my mother said a lot of things to her. That, number one, he deserves a lawyer in this situation, and she said there will be no lawyer. He is going to Mariana, and you can leave my office right now. So I'm just telling you that, yes, our civil rights were dumped on so bad back then, because I don't know. Billy, do you know any cases of any of the kids that could get a lawyer and had a lawyer present?
Unless their parents got one for them, I don't know of any. I mean,
yeah.
I was pretty much out in the cold because of my situation,
Right.
And of course I couldn't leave after the time was up that they sent me there.
Thank you.
Jerry, let me ask you this. 1 second. Jerry, how long were you there at the school?
I was there at first before we could they hold your records for 50 years. That's the law here in the state of Florida as far as being a juvenile. And I didn't get my records after I got started. I think that I came about for the 50-year period a couple of years later, and I thought that I had arrived there right after Christmas. But I had arrived there, I think, either late January or early February, and I went home in late November.
So you were only there about 9 months then?
I was there about 9 months, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was there for 2.5 years.
Some of the boys, I will tell you this, Ed, I had a young man in my cottage. I was in the older boys' cottage. I turned 16 that February, and I was in what they call the big boys' cottage, which was Roosevelt. And I had some guys in there, and I'm going to give you a good example. We had a boy there, and everybody was very aware that he had serious sexual problems. He was homosexual. I mean, the staff knew it. The boys knew it. And they had that boy there. I remember him being in, you remember Blinky, Bill. How many cottages do you think that poor kid must have lived in? Almost every other cottage while I was there. And they kept moving him around. He had nowhere to go. And I had kids in my classroom, too. I was what you call a teacher's aide was my job there, and I taught children from 10 to 13 in my class. And that's another story if we get to talk about it. But to make a long story short, I had children there in my classroom that were so mentally retarded that they should not have been in that school in any fashion. I mean, it was just a terrible place to be. But I'm going to tell you something about this school, and we've known it since 1900 when that thing opened. That school was open for one purpose: to turn a profit. And if you go through the records over the years, like I have, along with Robert Straley, who's a historian for the group, you will see that the profit margin at that time was huge. And I'm talking about the print shop putting out hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of work a year, which was a lot of money back then.
$50,000 a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And the produce side, this is sad. We had over there, they raised watermelons, cantaloupes, squash, sweet potatoes, sugar cane. And I'm going to tell you something right now. For the meals they fed us, I don't ever remember eating a damn piece of watermelon or a cantaloupe the whole time I was there. That stuff was sold. And that's why we were under, and this is another sad thing, Bill.